Hello, this is Simracing Corner and my review for a new sequential shifter from Sim Direct. They are based in Australia and sell through eBay. This is sold for 240 Australian dollars, which is 125 UK pounds or 165 US dollars at current conversion rates, plus shipping costs on top. The shifter is a lightweight design made from CNC cut aluminium. It's 285mm tall and the base is 105mm wide and 92mm in length. There are holes drilled into the base for mounting. Included with the shifter were some nuts and bolts, washers and an Allen key, plus a couple of cable ties for this purpose. The first striking observation, and the first thing you will be asking, where is the rest of the handle? Well, I can tell you this is completely intentional and it's meant to be operated this way. This will indeed require some further discussion because it is a very unusual design. But before that, let's take a closer look at the other features. The handle is attached to the frame with a bolt. You can see the pivot point is sitting on the thread of the bolt and there are spacers on either side. To reduce lateral movement of the handle, they've come up with an interesting solution. These small threaded pins hold a small captured spring-loaded ball bearing, and you simply screw it in so the ball bearing makes contact with the side of the shifter handle frame, and then the ball bearing acts as a rolling guide as you move the handle. As we move further down the frame, you can see the exposed microswitches and wiring extending outside of the frame on both ends. If we follow the wires down from the microswitches, it exits the side of the base of the frame. The main wire moves freely through the hole. It is not secured. Spring-loaded pins are used for the tension and return the shifter to the neutral position when released. If we look underneath, we can have a closer inspection of this action. A block of wood is used to push against the pins. We will take a look at the wear on that piece of wood once we've tested this Sim Direct shifter in a few sim racing titles. The generous USB cable is just over 2 meters in length. Partway down the cable is a box housing the programmed Arduino microcontroller. I noticed in the Windows game control panel it had been named Handbrake, however it does work as a shifter in game, so it was just a technicality naming error while programming the Arduino. Before we get this mounted on the rig for testing, if you watched my follow-up video after the unboxing video, I did add a foam handle cover to this Sim Direct sequential shifter because quite frankly it's not very comfortable pulling and pushing on a hard metal frame. It's pretty obvious, which includes heads of small bolts which poke out of the sides. I emailed them asking them why this design decision was made and stating it is not comfortable to use this way. Their response was it was because it's made to be a lightweight design, but they also agreed a shifter should be comfortable to handle. So I ran the shifter for a while with the foam handle covering, which was a much needed modification, and the shifter was functioning as one would expect in game. But then I decided this was not how it was made to be used. Sim Direct intended it to be operated as a bare framed handle, so they must consider it as a perfectly good way to run it in that manner. So I removed the foam and ran the rest of my testing like this, and at least I thought that was important because you know, I'm trying to produce an authentic review on a product that was delivered to me. And it's as uncomfortable and unconvincing as you would imagine. You have to wear gloves to prevent the build-up of hot spots and potential blisters on naked hands. But even wearing gloves, it does not improve the situation that much. It doesn't feel like a handle, it's a strange knobbly frame. It doesn't feel like what a shifter should feel like. But even when I use the phone wrap, it still doesn't save the shifter from being pretty terrible in many other aspects. Ultimately, it does work as a gear shifting device, so that is a positive. But the resistance of the lever is very basic. It gets the job done, but lacks a realistic feel of a real shifter. And that is the crucial reason you buy a separate device like this, to add realism to your sim racing. And quite frankly, it falls flat on its face in this regard. It fails to add immersion, and I may as well use the paddle shifters on my wheel, as this SimRig Direct shifter did not enhance the experience for me. There's a rough teeth grinding feel through the handle while moving it in either direction, and you can hear that scraping friction at the same time in motion. It also makes the odd squeak here and there. It's just another poor attribute to add to its list of sins. After about 2.5 hours of use while recording my game footage, that was as much as I could bear using this piece of hardware. So let's take a look at the condition after this short time. Taken straight off my sim racing rig, we can see the bolt holding the handle has loosened, as well as those ball bearing guide pins have managed to unscrew themselves during use as well. That's not too surprising, as they do sit quite loosely in the threads. The nut cannot be tightened too much, as it will simply bind to the handle, so finger tightness is as much as you can do. As an idea to fix this problem, I'm adding some PTFE tape to the threads, as it's something I had available at the time. Using Loctite would be the better option, certainly, but as far as I can tell, this does help, but I haven't tested the shifter since. Next up, we're going to remove the handle from the frame to check out that wooden piece and see how well it has held up. One side has taken more of a beating than the other. There's clear damage on the surface and a divot has formed. And remember, I have put under 3 hours of use through the shifter, which one can only assume would deteriorate further after further use. And I also noticed the side of the handle has been scarred by the ball bearing guide pins. So there are some questions to be asked about some of the components used in the build and their durability. This is a product with several flaws, and considering its price point, it's exactly the same price as the incredible Aiologs shifter. Alternatively, the DimSim Sequential shifter, which I only reviewed very recently, is lower in price and destroys the SimRig Sequential shifter in build quality and pretty much everything else you could name as well. This is not a good advert for SimRig Direct as a sim hardware producer. They are fully aware I was planning to review this product on my YouTube channel and were very interested with working with me to begin with, and the opportunity to receive positive publicity. Sadly, this has been nothing but a negative review, and I would have much preferred to have made a video showing off a new cool piece of sim racing hardware that I could recommend to you. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Before uploading my initial unboxing video, I had contacted them by email to let them know I was disappointed with the shifter and highlighted a few of the issues that I had discovered at that time. I was very frank with them. This is the worst sequential shifter I have ever used, and I have used quite a few. It's very much overpriced for what it offers, and that is one of its big problems too. This should not be sold as a finished product and needs further development to make it into something that I and other sim racers would want to own and use. After my feedback, they decided to withdraw this from sale, so I may actually be the only sim racer to have used this particular piece of hardware. If you check out the SimRig Direct eBay store page, you will find an alternative shifter which is complete, at least with regards to the handle. However, you will see it shares the same frame and other components. And personally, I would not recommend that one either when considering my experience using this one, as there will be a crossover with many of the same problems. I hope SimRig Direct take on board the things I've shown in my video today, and it can help them build better products for the future. They do sell many other sim racing products, so you still may want to check them out on their online store page. I also know they are working on an H-pattern shifter and planning to release in the first half of 2020, so I do wish them well on that project, so keep an eye on that if you are interested. And that concludes my review for the SimRig Direct sequential shifter, which thankfully is no longer on sale. And good riddance to it. So thanks for watching. Please leave your comments below the video, including SimRig Direct if you are indeed watching my review from behind your sofa. I will be back very soon with something different, maybe a crafty microphone review just for you, Henrik, because I know you love them. New videos are usually posted on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so check back regularly for my new content. Until then, happy simming and bye bye.